Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're going to be exploring medieval India,
Ooh.
but not the usual stuff you hear about.
Yeah, right.
We're going beyond the battles and the empires,
Yeah.
and taking a look at something truly fascinating, the world of literature and scholarship that was flourishing during the Sultanate period.
Absolutely.
That's around 1206 to 1526 CE for anyone keeping track.
Mm-hmm.
Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, wasn't that a time of huge upheaval?
Yeah, you'd think that, right?
And you'd be right. There was a ton of political change happening. But amidst all that chaos, there was this incredible explosion of intellectual activity.
It's really remarkable when you think about it.
It really is. And to uncover this hidden world, we're going to be drawing on a really interesting mix of sources.
Oh, like what?
Well, we've got scholarly analyses of ancient texts, of course,
Classic.
but we're also going to be looking at historical chronicles and even architectural studies.
Wow, so we're really getting a multifaceted view here.
Exactly. And what's so cool is that all these different sources point to the same thing. Written works weren't just reflecting society.
They were shaping it.
Yeah, they were tools for influencing thought,
Yeah.
justifying power, and navigating this really complex cultural landscape that was emerging.
It's like they were writing the script for a whole new world.
I like that. So let's start with the power of words.
Okay.
We've got these incredible literary works popping up during this time.
Right.
For example, there's the Abhisamayalamkara Vritti.
Okay, I'm going to need you to break that down for me.
No problem.
Right.
So it's a commentary on Buddhist philosophy, and it's not just like explaining the basics either.
Right.
It's going really deep into this concept of emptiness, which is like a core idea in Buddhist thought.
Wow, so high-level stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the really interesting part. This text actually helped to revive Buddhism in India.
Really?
Yeah. It was facing some serious challenges at the time, but this commentary helped bring it back into the spotlight.
Wow, so these texts had real impact.
Oh, absolutely. They weren't just ivory tower stuff. They were influencing entire religious movements.
That's incredible.
And it wasn't all about these lofty philosophical debates either.
No.
Nope. Take the Akanikatha, for example.
Okay, another one for you to unpack for me.
Uh-huh. All right, so this one is a work by Ashagoa, and it's actually a story.
Oh, interesting. So, like a novel.
Kind of. But woven into this narrative are all these amazing insights into everyday life in medieval India.
Ooh, like what?
We're talking social norms, beliefs, even the dynamics between different castes.
Wow, so it's like a window into the past.
Exactly. And it shows that these written works weren't just about abstract ideas. They were engaging with real-world issues, shaping how people understood the world around them.
So they were kind of like public intellectuals of their time.
Yeah. They were sparking debates, challenging assumptions, and really influencing the cultural landscape.
And I bet the rulers weren't just sitting back and watching this all happen.
You know it. They were very much involved, using their patronage to steer the intellectual discourse and, well, let's be honest, to legitimize their own power.
Of course, makes sense.
Right. Speaking of rulers and power, how about we shift gears for a bit?
Okay, where are we headed?
Architecture. Because believe it or not, buildings can speak volumes.
Oh, I like that.
Our sources actually delve into the mosques built during the Sultanate period.
Interesting.
And they're not just pretty structures, they're packed with cultural clues.
Okay, give me an example.
All right, so let's look at the Quwwat al-Islam Mosque in Delhi.
Okay, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's pretty famous. And for good reason. It's got this incredible blend of traditional Indian design with Islamic influences.
So it's like a fusion of styles.
Exactly. And that wasn't just an artistic choice.
Yeah.
It was a very deliberate move by the rulers to show the changing cultural landscape. They were basically saying, look, we're incorporating elements from both traditions. We're creating something new and powerful.
So it was like a statement of their authority.
Totally. They were building their power brick by brick and using architecture to make a statement.
That's fascinating.
Right. And even Babur, the founder of the Mughal Empire, who wasn't initially big on religious buildings.
Really?
Yeah, he later commissioned mosques like the one in Panipat. Why do you think he changed his tune?
Well, he was a conqueror establishing a new dynasty, right?
Right.
So building a grand mosque after a major victory, it's a classic power move. You know, marking your territory, solidifying your rule, projecting this image of strength and piety all at the same time.
It's like a giant billboard saying, I'm in charge.
Exactly.
So even when it seems like it's just about aesthetics, there's always a deeper meaning, a message being conveyed.
Absolutely. And speaking of deeper meaning, we can't forget about Akbar.
Oh, yeah. Akbar, the Mughal emperor, he was a master of this whole fusion of styles.
He really was. His palace at Fatehpur Sikri is mind-blowing.
It's incredible, right? You've got these Timurid design elements blending seamlessly with Indian architectural traditions.
It's like he took this idea of cultural fusion and cranked it up to 11.
Wait, back up for a second. Timurid design.
Oh, right, sorry. So for those who haven't brushed up on their Central Asian architectural history lately,
Me included.
think soaring arches, intricate geometric patterns, and these beautiful glazed tiles.
Okay, I'm starting to picture it.
It's a style that originated in the Timurid Empire, which was centered in modern-day Uzbekistan, and Akbar brought those influences into his own architectural projects.
So he's not just building a palace, he's making a statement.
Absolutely. It's like he's saying, look at the vast reach of my empire, the diversity of cultures I encompass.
It's this incredible expression of his vision for an inclusive empire where different cultures could coexist and even create something new and beautiful together.
Then the best part is this isn't just speculation, it's woven into the very fabric of Fatehpur Sikri.
Oh, how so?
Well, look at the Jami Masjid there, the main mosque. You see these intricate geometric patterns, painted arabesques, all classic Timurid features. But they're made using local Indian craftsmanship, local materials.
Oh, wow.
It's this beautiful dance between different artistic traditions.
It's amazing how something like a building can tell us so much about a ruler's ambitions, their worldview, even their personality. But hold on, we've been talking a lot about emperors and grand projects. Did all this amazing literature, this architectural fusion, did it trickle down to everyday folks in medieval India?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah. Or was it just an elite thing?
It's a great question, and honestly, it's one that historians are still grappling with. Our sources, unfortunately, focus mainly on the elite perspective.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, it is. But even they offer these tantalizing hints about the broader cultural impact.
If like what?
Well, take the sarais, for example.
Sarais.
Yeah. Imagine these roadside inns strategically placed along major trade routes.
Okay.
They pop up all over the place during Jahangir's reign. That's Akbar's son.
Okay.
Now, you might think, okay, just a place for travelers to rest.
Right.
But these were more than just pit stops. They were hubs for information exchange places where people from all walks of life, merchants, pilgrims, soldiers, would mingle and share news stories, even religious ideas.
So it's like these sarais were the medieval version of social media.
Haha, exactly. Spreading information and culture throughout the empire.
I love that. And there's more, right?
Oh, yeah. We even see examples of Hindu nobles like Bir Singh who were building palaces and temples, incorporating elements of Mughal architecture.
Really?
Yeah. It suggests that this cultural exchange wasn't limited to the Muslim elite. It was crossing religious boundaries and seeping into different layers of society.
So it's like everyone is getting in on the action, borrowing and blending ideas to create something new and exciting.
Precisely. And it makes you wonder about those missing voices, you know?
Yeah, the everyday folks who weren't writing grand philosophical treatises or building magnificent palaces.
Right. What were their stories? What knowledge did they possess? What kind of cultural contributions did they make?
It's like we've been given this glimpse of this fascinating world.
Mm.
But it's up to us to keep exploring, to dig deeper, and to piece together a more complete picture.
Absolutely. And that's what makes history so exciting.
It really does.
Makes you realize that even like the grandest narrative is built on, you know, countless smaller stories.
Yeah.
It's the lives of the artisans, farmers, the merchants, all contributing to this cultural tapestry.
It really is. And it makes you wonder, what would those stories tell us?
Yeah.
I mean, if sarais were like medieval social media hubs,
Right.
there must have been a ton of cultural exchange happening at like the grassroots level.
Oh, absolutely. And it wasn't just, you know, physical objects or news being traded, ideas too. Religious beliefs, philosophical concepts, all kind of swirling around and influencing each other.
So like a melting pot of ideas.
Exactly. And for example, think about the Bhakti movement that emerged during this period.
Oh yeah, the Bhakti poets.
Yeah. It emphasized this personal connection with the divine, regardless of your social status or even which god you worshipped.
And they were writing these amazing devotional songs and poems.
Yes.
And get this, they weren't using stuffy old Sanskrit.
All right.
They were using vernacular languages, the languages people spoke every day.
Exactly. So suddenly, these religious ideas weren't confined to the elite or to scholars.
It was for everyone.
Yeah. The Bhakti movement was all about accessibility. It was a democratizing force in a society that was, let's be honest, pretty rigid in its social hierarchy.
Okay, that just blew my mind.
Yeah.
It's like they were creating a whole new way of experiencing faith,
Mm.
a more personal, more inclusive way. It makes you wonder, what role did the spread of literacy play in all of this?
Ooh, good question.
Were more people learning to read and write during this time?
That's a fantastic question, and unfortunately it's one that's difficult to answer definitively with the sources we have. It's like we're trying to piece together a puzzle, but with some pieces missing.
Right.
But we can speculate, and it stands to reason that as literacy increased, more people would have been exposed to these diverse ideas and perspectives.
So maybe literacy was like a secret weapon for spreading these new religious and philosophical movements.
Exactly.
Like if you could read the Bhakti poet's work for yourself, you wouldn't have to rely on someone else's interpretation.
Precisely. And who knows, maybe it even empowered people to challenge existing social norms.
Oh, interesting.
Imagine someone from a lower caste being able to read religious texts on their own, interpreting them for themselves, instead of relying on a Brahmin priest. It could have been incredibly empowering.
It's like this whole chain reaction. Literacy sparking new ideas, challenging old structures, and maybe even contributing to social change.
Yeah.
The power of words.
Right. And let's not forget the role of translation during this time.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Texts were constantly being translated from Sanskrit into Persian, from Persian into Arabic, and vice versa. It was this constant cross-pollination of languages.
So cool.
Creating a space where scholars from different backgrounds could engage with each other's work.
So it was like translation was building bridges between different cultures.
Exactly.
Kind of like how we're trying to do now, exploring these ancient texts and bringing them to a wider audience.
Absolutely. And those bridges carried more than just words. They carried knowledge.
Oh, like what?
Think about Indian mathematical and astronomical texts being translated into Arabic and then making their way into Europe. That knowledge exchange had a ripple effect that we're still feeling today.
It's incredible to think about the long-lasting legacy of this period. We're talking about a time of not just political and social change,
Right.
but also intellectual ferment, a time when ideas were crossing borders and transforming the world.
And it all comes back to those written works, the poems, the commentaries, the chronicles, even the inscriptions on those magnificent buildings.
Like time capsules.
Yeah. They offer us these precious glimpses into the minds of people who lived centuries ago, their struggles, their beliefs, their hopes for the future.
It's like we're having a conversation with the past, learning from their experiences, and maybe even finding inspiration for our own lives.
Exactly, because understanding where we come from helps us understand who we are and where we're going.
I love that. Okay, we've covered so much ground, from the intricacies of Buddhist philosophy to the architectural marvels of Vadapura Sikri, the spread of literacy and the power of translation. But there's one question that keeps nagging at me. We've talked a lot about the achievements of rulers and scholars.
Yeah.
But what about the everyday people?
Right.
The farmers, the artisans, the merchants. What was their experience like?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is.
And it's one we'll explore as we continue our deep dive into this fascinating world of medieval India.
I feel like we've just scratched the surface. I mean, we've explored these incredible literary and architectural achievements.
Yeah.
But there's this whole world of experience that we just haven't even touched.
Right.
What were the everyday lives like of those who didn't leave behind these grand mosques or, philosophical treatises?
It's true, and it's those untold stories, the experiences of ordinary people, the farmers, the artisans, the merchants. It's their lives that can truly bring the past to life.
It's like we're missing this whole layer of understanding. We see the grand sweep of history, but what about the individual threads that make up the tapestry?
Exactly. It's like we're looking at this magnificent mosaic,
Right.
but we can only see a few of the tiles. Imagine the richness and the complexity that would be revealed if we could see the whole picture.
It's mind-boggling.
What were their dreams? What were they afraid of? How did they make sense of the world around them?
It makes you realize just how much history is lost. How many voices go unheard.
It's true. But maybe that's the challenge for us, to keep searching, keep digging, and to keep trying to uncover those missing pieces.
Absolutely. And it's a challenge worth pursuing because those hidden stories, they can offer us this more nuanced and complete understanding of the past. They remind us that history isn't just about kings and conquerors.
Right.
It's about the lives of everyday people. So what do you think? Where do we go from here? How do we start uncovering those hidden stories?
Well, I think for starters, we need to look beyond the traditional sources. It's instead of just focusing on, royal chronicles or elite literature, we can explore archaeological evidence, folklore, even linguistic patterns.
So it's like we're becoming detectives,
Yeah.
piecing together clues from these unexpected places.
Exactly. And the more we explore, the more we realize that history, it's not this static thing. It's a living, breathing thing. It's constantly evolving as we uncover new evidence and reinterpret old assumptions.
I love that. It's not just about memorizing dates and facts.
Right.
It's about engaging in this dialogue with the past, questioning what we think we know, and being open to new perspectives.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll stumble upon a forgotten manuscript, a hidden inscription, or even just a piece of pottery that sheds light on the lives of those ordinary people who shaped medieval India.
That would be incredible. It's amazing to think that those discoveries are still out there waiting to be made.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that's a thought that will stay with our listeners long after this episode is over.
I hope so. It's really inspiring to think about.
It really is. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the literary and scholarly achievements of medieval India, let's remember that there's always more to discover.
Always.
More stories to uncover and more voices waiting to be heard.
Because history is a journey, not a destination.
Beautifully put. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder those hidden stories and perhaps embark on your own explorations of the past. Until next time, keep those minds curious and keep those deep dives going.